Yeah, I've been thinking this week about the universe as a force multiplier, and I think that you know that I think of the universe as God, right? I call her grandmother. There's many, many names, but when I tell you that the universe is a force multiplier, I could bring you things from religion. If you give up your 10% tithe, if you give 10% of anything that you have, you're going to get it back 100-fold. That's what it tells you, right? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't really make sense. How can I give such a little thing and get so much back in return?
Yeah.
Right? So it's great to sit and think about it in theory, but I find it easier, kind of like Einstein did, to try to visualize something and see if I can actually see what's happening, right?
Okay.
So I started thinking about the fact that science tells us that everything is a frequency. Everything is resonating. Everything is vibrating, right?
Okay.
Resonating wasn't right. That's a word to use later, but everything is vibrating. The thing that makes us different is that I'm vibrating in just a little bit different way than you are. So you manifest as you and I manifest as me, but we're still vibrating. And when we're not vibrating in tune with the universe, we seem to have a bad time of it, right? But how does the vibration become a force multiplier? Well, when you're in an emotional state, whether or not you know it, everybody around you feels that emotional state, right? Most of us know that through anger. Man, when I'm angry, you can feel it 2 blocks away. And it didn't make sense to me. I'm the one that's angry. Why are you feeling my anger so much?
Yeah.
Right? And I started thinking about it in terms of frequency. When my dogs bark in the house, I've got a tongue drum on my altar. And when they bark, the drum sings. I don't touch it, but the vibration through the house makes it sing.
Okay.
When I'm in a great mood, you may not initially be vibrating with me, right? And if you're not, let me step back a second. Whatever mood I'm in is usually, for most people, determined by the environment and the people around them. So they're not projecting a frequency, they're receiving one. Right? They're making your bell sing. Maybe in a way that you like, maybe in a way that you don't like. But the thing is that your bell is singing off of everything around you. And the cool thing about the universe is everything works both ways, right? So where if the environment or the people around me seem to be vibrating in this way, I'm actually causing it. I don't know it, I'm causing it, right? When I don't know that I'm causing it and you're vibrating at me, that's called karma. That's what we call it, a bitch, right? I don't know what I'm doing. All I know is that you're acting bad towards me. Does that make sense? So, on a regular basis, you're dealing with karma. And some people deal with vipaka, which is directed action. Directed action would be kind of the same as saying that instead of my bell ringing because you came in at me in a bad way, my bell is ringing in the way that I choose it to ring, because I'm intending it to be joyful, I'm intending it to be happy, I'm intending it to be loving. No matter what you bring at me, because of my intention being on the front of my mind, my bell is ringing at that frequency.
Okay.
And what you find is it's almost impossible, even if you're having a bad day and you walk in and somebody's, hey, how you doing? Oh, that's great, you're so awesome. By the end of that conversation, you feel better, right?
Okay.
Because you've started vibrating at their frequency, right? They're in a positive mood, now you're vibrating in a positive mood. And that's great, but I don't want to walk into luck all the time with somebody being in a positive mood and putting me there. So I go to the positive mood first, so that when I walk out, I'm vibrating that positivity. And what happens is, whether it be the trees, the car, the things around us, that positive vibration goes out and hits like maybe a radar signal, or best way to say it is when you drop a pebble in a bowl full of water, right? Comes out in ripples, right? But what happens when it hits the edge of the bowl?
The ripples get bigger, or they get smaller.
They get pushed back towards the center.
Mm-hmm.
And while one ripple comes from the center, multiple ripples come back to the center in almost a chaos, a hammering of the energy that was put into it, all floods back on top of it.
So when you tithe,
when you're intent, we talk a lot about awakening. I came down to one sentence that'll tell you how to awaken. Keep your attention on your intention. If you constantly keep your attention on what you're intending to do, you'll be the most awake person you've ever met, even if you don't get that all of this is one thing. Right? If you keep your attention on your intention to be joyful, someone else's resonant, you're not going to resonate with them.
Yeah.
You can then put out enough energy to make everything around you resonate with love. And like this week, I really have been feeling it in a weird way because I haven't met one person that's not absolutely gorgeous. Everybody, no matter what I've had to do, contractors, otherwise, they have been giving, they have been beautiful, they have been loving. And it's really easy to think about like these theories, right? Mm-hmm. It's a whole lot different when you can just feel that chaos being thrown back on top of you and going, why is all this love apparent now? Why is all this caring apparent? Why do these people want to take care of me? Why do these people want to be close to me, right?
Because of how you started.
Because of how I started.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's the force multiplier. Mm-hmm. Right. So and I was trying to understand it because you said force multiplier or tithing but I see what you're saying now. It's that 10%, right? It's that drop in that bowl. When you put that drop in that bowl, that energy you put out then creates that ripple in the universe to then bring it back to you, right? Whether it's off other people, whether it's off what you're working on, whether it's off, right? The things around you start to ripple, and in that rippling effect, you reap that energy benefit back 100-fold. Because like you said, you started with one drop, right? Or in the Christian mindset, you started with one seed, but now you're reaping 30, 60, 100-fold just based on the energy you put in at the beginning.
Right. It's all about that. I can have great intent inside of me and sit in one place, and I will feel great, but I will put absolutely nothing out. However, I have to go interact with everybody else. Mm-hmm. So every time I'm interacting with everybody else, my behavior, my energy, that's all stuff that I'm putting out anyway, right? Why not determine beforehand which one I want to play with, right? Because it's not like you ever woke up at the beginning of the day perfectly neutral and went, you know what? Today, I want to go the fuck off. Today, I wish somebody would. Today, I wish everything would fall apart. That's not how you wake up, right? You go, today, I want the sun to be up. I want the birds to be singing, right? Like, I want it to be joyful. I want to walk into that Cinderella scene where everybody's singing and putting her dress on, right?
I want to have a good day.
I want to have a good day. I don't know anybody that intentionally wakes up and goes, I want to have a terrible day, but they don't take the time to start their day well. Right? So like for me, I was talking to somebody the other day and they were telling me something they do in the morning and it's really, really good that they do it. But I said, well, how about starting just for 2 minutes when you wake up, just say thank you, right? And this person went, well, I mean, that's always good to be in a state of gratitude because everything that's positive comes from gratitude. And I go, yeah, so why don't you start your day with gratitude? The rest of your day has no choice but to be positive, right? But if I start my day asleep, this is what I got to do. I'm making my coffee. Now the kids are screaming. Now the whatever. I've never set my intention for the day, right? Now I'm living in a more karma state where everything around me is what I think is the thing that's doing it, right? Instead of the state of vipaka where I am creating the things around me. I'm creating the beauty of the person that's in front of me, right? Because it doesn't matter if the person in front of you is homeless, racist. It doesn't matter what you want to label them. The one thing that I know without a doubt is that God lives inside of them. There's something really good deep down inside of them. And every time you deal with a person, Your real intention, if you think about it, is to get the best thing you can from that person.
Yes.
But you can only get that if you treat them with that love, send out that resonance, allow that space to open up for them to be the best they can be, because they're not worried about you anymore. They're happy.
See, I want to double back a little bit, because there's something that you said that really is getting my brain moving,
Okay.
right? It's about intention,
I
right?
love it.
And karma versus apaka, right? And I think, and I only say it made my brain turn a little bit because this morning I recognized I went through that same thing. This morning I sat down and I felt overwhelming anxiety, right? And I don't know if it was the energy around me, like you said, the environment, or my kids, right? Like I have the chaos in my household every day when I wake up, right? So today I slowed down long enough to say, let me journal, right? Let me stop and say my gratitude. So I wrote out my gratitude journal. I said, thank you, God, for today. Thank you for the blessing you've given me. Thank you for, and then I wrote out my schedule and prayed over it, right? And said, thank you for giving me this opportunity to do this work. Please allow me to glorify you in this, right? So essentially I set my intentions on my day to say, like, fill me with your love, fill me with a good, I don't want to say a good day, but it was intentional about being
Fill me
gratitude.
with what you need from me today to further you.
Yes, right? So I started my day with intention, and like you said, I feel like I'm on a different pattern, right? The anxiety that I felt this morning, I don't feel right now in the middle of the day, right? So now I hear you say karma versus apaka. I see it, like you said, as it's happening.
Yeah. And that's most everybody sees karma as it's happening. Karma is just the movement that's within the environment. A lot of it I'm causing and don't know that I'm causing, right? That's karma. But it's vipaka. It's that intention that changes that energy. The karmatic energy is the same. I'm just changing the way it's resonating. I'm changing the tone of that energy. That energy is going to be there. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to go to work. My day's not going to be different. I was talking to my mom today, and she's like, wow, it's so beautiful today. It's so easy. It's so calm. It's so peaceful. And I was like, Mom, anytime you breathe, just sit. Breathe. It's always beautiful and calm and peaceful. We're the thing that makes it not that. Because we're trying to catch up with our day, right? We weren't intent at the beginning of the day. We weren't intent, not even at the beginning of the day. We're going into a meeting. I came out of one thing, I'm going straight into a meeting. I don't take 2 minutes to think about what this meeting is about. If I take 2 minutes to think about what this meeting is about, what I'm here to actually do, my performance in that meeting is way higher than if I come into it scattered from what I've been doing throughout the day.
Yep.
Because I'm going back to touch my intention. What is it that I am choosing to do here? Instead of what do I have to do here? And that's a huge difference. What I have to do versus what I choose to do. This is what we're fighting about all the time, freedom, America, right? What I choose to do. And we don't think that we're not choosing because we're just trying to get everything in, and we're trying to get everything in, and everything's suffering because we're trying to get everything in and we aren't paying attention to anything.
Right.
So the best way to wake up, the best way to get that leverage out of the universe, the best way to resonate is to focus on your intention, to always bring your attention back to your intention.
No, that's real. That's deep. Because I think I can only speak for myself, right? And I think that's the best way I can only speak for me. I see what other people are doing, right? But I can only really speak for me when I talk, and I see that when I am consumed by the universe, essentially allowing karma to dictate what's happening, right? Karma might be social media, right? Whatever my kids have, right?
Whatever energy flow you're in.
Yes, right? I allow the energy to flow through me. I do see that chaos. I do see the lack of productivity, whatever it is.
You don't
right?
remember 3 things that you were supposed to do, even though you did one thing.
Right. But when, like you said, when I'm tuned in with my attention, my intentions, when I am focused on my intentions, and my intention is hey, here's what I have to do today, right? Whether it's love somebody, whether it's a task, when it can be anything, right? Whatever I intended to do, I find that not only am I more engaged, I'm more effective at it, but I enjoy it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Because no day is ever different, your enjoyment is solely based on where your mind is at.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think I've said it before, but really quickly, this is one of my favorite. This is one of the things that really woke me up, right? There was a Buddhist monk up in the mountains, lived by himself for a long time. And down below, there's a warrior king. And the warrior king decides that he's going to go up and have a conversation with this monk that obviously doesn't want to talk to anybody, right? So he goes up there and he gets into this cave where the monk is cooking some rice, and he sits down at the table and he slaps the table and he says, "Monk, feed me." The monk looks at him. He doesn't really care. He's cooking his rice anyway. He's like, sure, whatever. He gets it up, gets a bowl, gives it to the king, right? Goes back to doing what he's doing. And the king, you have to remember, this is a warrior king. This is the type of person you can't even keep your head at the same level as theirs, much less say anything to them, right? Mm-hmm. There are usually repercussions behind this. Mm-hmm. And the king stands up and he says, "Now, monk, you will give me the keys to heaven and hell." And the monk turns around and looks at the king and he says, "You low-born piece of nothing. You piece of sewage. Who are you to tell me to do anything?" And in that moment, the king's wrath, his anger flared up. And he reached down to the sword and he was getting ready to pull it. And the monk smiled at him and he looked and he went, "That's hell." And the king stopped, caught him so off guard, stopped, because he was about to hit the killing blow. Mm-hmm. He stopped and he thought, wow, this monk got that close to dying just to show me what hell is like. And in that instant, he was full of gratitude for that monk that showed him that. And he smiled and he got really big. And the monk looked at him and he went, "And that's heaven." And that's as simple as it is. You will always be in heaven if you want to be in heaven. You will always be in hell if you want to be in hell. But the thing is that most of us don't know we're putting ourselves there. Mm-hmm. We think that the world is tough. We think that people suck. We think we're being realists, right? And what we're really doing is we're taking resource away from us and looking for things we don't want to see. I don't know why you would take the time to try to find something that you don't enjoy. That's going to be there anyway.
You know, the funny thing is, so you said that story, and so I was reading a Bible verse yesterday, Psalms 139. Okay. And it racked my brain. When I tell you it racked my brain, right? And the way you just explained the monk story made me realize exactly the answer, right? So it was verse 8, Psalm 139 says, "If I ascend into heaven, thou art there," right? "If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there," right? And it's talking about the presence of God, mm-hmm. right? And it's the reminder that God's always with us, right? But it's the thing you've talked about, the universe is always with us. But we have the choice to be in heaven or hell every day, mm-hmm. right?
He said, "If I make my bed in hell."
Right. I made the choice.
Make my bed in hell. And nobody realizes that that's what they're doing every day.
Every day.
And God is with them. And God does support them. And God does want good things for them. But God's not going to tell you to go anywhere. If you want to be in hell, He'll sit there with you. Mm-hmm. Right? It doesn't hurt Him to have that experience. He just wants to experience through us anyway. That's why God works through us. That's why God lives in us. It's not a matter to me. It's not a matter that I ask God to come and live in my soul. It's a matter that I accept that He's already there. Mm-hmm. Right?
So it's funny though, when you say the monk story, that's what it literally resonated with me immediately in that moment. Like, that's it. Like, heaven and hell is how our emotions react to stuff. How we can, not how we control our emotions, but it's the emotions around us and how we're vibrating in that universe. If we're experiencing the heaven, the peace, the love, the joy, the fruits of the Spirit, or are we experiencing the hell, the anger, the fear, the doubt, the anxiety, right? It's all about how you set those intentions, how you put your attention, and you're making the choice every day.
People mistake, and I heard somebody, let me say this, everybody's got their own way of thinking of things, but when I look at the yin yang, what I hear most often is that, like, what it means with the big white spot and the black spot, big black spot and the white spot.
Balance.
Well, what I've heard people say is that there's darkness in everything, right? Even your greatest day, there's darkness. Why isn't it I hear people saying that there's light in my darkest day?
They find the negative first.
Always. So you have to train yourself to find that positive, to look for that beautiful thing in the environment, to count your blessings, the things you have right now. Because we're constantly outwardly and action focused. Even people that don't like to do shit. Not doing anything is an action, right? Speaking is a behavior.
Interesting you say it that way.
So, like when I wake up in the morning, I wash my face. It's a behavior that cleanses me, right? When I wake up in the morning, I get on my knees and say, Grandmother, thank you. Thank you. This is an offered behavior. It's an intended behavior. It's not just a word.
Okay.
B.F. Skinner's the one that taught us words are behaviors.